Welcome to our 6th episode of Atypical Air. Today's episode will be all about Ryanair. No, not that one. This Ryanair. You may be surprised to find out that there's 4 different aviation companies under the name Ryan, some of which still operate to this day. We'll be talking about their history and impact on modern aviation today on Atypical Air. And now, a word from our sponsor. This program is sponsored by Aviation, your non-stop flight for news and commentary in the world of aviation, travel, and astronomy. Be sure to subscribe to the Aviation YouTube channel, and be sure to like and subscribe for more content such as this one. And don't forget to visit the Media Patreon page, where for just $5 a month you get early access to content. For $10 a month, you can get exclusive content, and for $20 a month, you yourself can be a contributor to this channel. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. If you hear the phrase Ryanair, you're probably thinking of hard landings and cheap flights in Western Europe. However, there are not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 different aviation groups referred to as Ryan. There are some of which that still operate to this day. There are some that have a much bigger impact on aviation than you may realize. The first is Ryan Airline Company, founded by T. Claude Ryan and Benjamin Franklin Frank Mahoney at Dutch Flats Airport in San Diego, California on April 19th of 1925. They had earlier established a scheduled service between San Diego and Los Angeles with a fare of just $14.50 one way and just $22.50 round trip. The service was provided by a standard J-1, a World War I training aircraft famously hated by pilots, which they modified to carry 4 passengers and 2 crew members. The company also bought and modified the Douglas Cloudster and Ryan M1 for Maryland passenger service, building the first of these in the fall of 1925 and 22 more within a year. However, it was short-lived, as the company ceased operations in 1926, just 1 year after it was created. This leads us to the second company, Ryan Aeronautical, founded by previously mentioned T. Claude Ryan in 1934 in San Diego. They built and designed aircraft such as the P-22 Trainer and the ST Sport Trainer series. One of its most successful aircraft is the Ryan ST Aerobatic, with the improved Monasco C4 engine. It won the 1937 International Aerobatic Championships. Ryan became involved in the missile and unmanned aircraft fields, developing the Ryan Firebee unmanned target drone and the Ryan Firebird, the first American air-to-air missile, among others, as well as a number of experimental aircraft. In the 1950s, Ryan became a pioneer in jet vertical flight with the X-13 Vertijet, a tail-sitting jet with a delta wing which was not used in production designs. In the early 1960s, Ryan built the XV-5 Vertifan for the U.S. Army. Ryan also developed the highly accurate radar system used on the Apollo lunar module. In 1968, the company was acquired by Teledyne for $128 million. Then later, Northrop Grumman purchased Teledyne Ryan in 1999, with the products continuing to form the core of the firm's unmanned aerial vehicle efforts. While the company has been bought out, its designs have heavily influenced the modern development of different military aircraft. Our next Ryanair company is Ryan International Airlines. Founded in 1972 by Ronald Ryan, operated as a small mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service, flying the Boeing 727 out of Chicago Rockford International Airport in Rockford, Illinois. Ryan also flew non-scheduled charter passenger services for excursion and tour packages, along with the United States Department of Defense and Department of Justice, along with others. In 1998, the airline began operating flights from California to Hawaii and Mexico, using a pair of McDonnell Douglas DC-10 aircraft and several Airbus A320s on behalf of Sun Trips, a vacation package operator in California. Ryan operated scheduled passenger flights with the Airbus A320 jets for AirTran Airways between Atlanta and the U.S. West Coast in 2003 and 2004, after which AirTran began operating the flights themselves with the newly delivered Boeing 737-700 aircraft. In 2005, the airline that was once wholly owned by Ronald Ryan was then purchased by commercial real estate firm Rubloff Development Group. Since moving Rubloff's headquarters into Rockford in 2006, Ryan International held prestigious contracts for its industry, the majority for the United States Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security. Until the summer of 2008, it maintained large operations in Milwaukee, St. Louis, Boston, and many other places for FunJet and Apple Vacations. However, its success began to dwindle. The contracts with FunJet and Apple Vacations were terminated following the failure of European carrier Funtra International Airways, from which Ryan leased several aircraft to support its international operation between Europe and America. In February of 2012, Ryan furloughed pilots, flight attendants, and support staff, and a month later filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, resulting from a dramatic decrease in military flying. A month after that, Ryan lost its contract with the DHS and grounded its MD-80 aircraft. Its safety record was also far from perfect. On February 17th of 1991, Ryan International Airlines Flight 590, a McDonnell Douglas DC-9, crashed after takeoff from Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. The aircraft was on a cargo flight carrying mail. Both pilots, the aircraft's only occupants, were killed. On October 1st of 1997, a Boeing 727 operating as Flight 607 collided with a shuttle bus at Denver International Airport. There were no fatalities. All 3 crew members survived, though the captain and first officer were injured. The driver of the shuttle bus was also injured. The aircraft was substantially damaged and ridden off. On January 11th of 2013, Ryan International Airlines ceased operations. Later that year, Sean E. Wagner, the former owner and operator of Aviation Fuel International, which worked closely with Ryan International, was indicted by a grand jury for his role in a conspiracy to defraud Ryan International Airlines. According to the indictment, Wagner and AFI made kickback payments to Wayne Keppel, a former vice president of ground operations for Ryanair. From at least as early as December 2005 through at least August 2009, Wagner and others at AFI made kickback payments to Keppel totaling more than $200,000 in the form of checks, wire transfers, cash, and gift cards. The last, but certainly not least on our list, is Ryanair Services. Originally founded by Wilfred Ryan Sr. as Onalakalite Air Taxi, the company began handling USPS mail delivery and transportation of school teachers for the Bureau of Indian Affairs between communities along the lower Yukon River. In 1977, Wilfred P. Ryan Jr. took over the company after his father tragically died of cancer. In 1979, the company was renamed Ryanair Services and developed a fleet of Beech 1900s and Beech 99s. The airline grew to the largest commuter carrier in Alaska by 1987, serving 85 cities and villages with a fleet of 28 planes. However, its safety record was called into question after 12 accidents, including Flight 103 on November 23rd of 1987, that killed 18 of the 21 people on board, which led to the FAA to shut down the airline in January of 1988. However, in the 1990s, Ryanair converted to a cargo-only airline and changed their name to Arctic Transportation Services, adding the CASA 212 cargo planes to their fleet. Then in 2010, they changed their name back to Ryanair. In 2011, Ryan began passenger charters out of Anchorage using a newly acquired Pilatus PC-12 aircraft in 2014. Ryanair resumed regularly scheduled passenger services out of Aniak, Alaska using their Cessna 207 aircraft. Unlike the other companies previously mentioned, Ryanair Services continues to operate to this very day, primarily flying cargo and charter flights along with scheduled passenger flights out of Aniak, Alaska. Its fleet consists of the Cessna 207 and 208, the CASA 212-200, the Pilatus PC-12, and the Saab 340. With all that said, what this should teach us is that aviation, both as a concept and industry, like an iceberg, goes much deeper than one would think. Just as there are biblical names that hold significance, Ryan is a name of significance in the world of aviation. This should teach us that there's lots of opportunities to be held, and there's also a lot more that you may not be aware of. Many might think of Ryanair as a cheap airline in Western Europe. However, it is far more deeper than that.